If you love watching podcasts on YouTube, you may have noticed this guy being featured a lot more. The former president of the United States, Donald Trump, has been going on podcasts, live streams, and whatever this is, all in a bid to win back the White House. You might remember when Trump had an interview with his pal Elon Musk on X.
Honored to Donald. Great to speak.
He also went on YouTuber Logan Paul's podcast, and he went live on a platform called Kick with streamer Aiden Ross, where for about an hour each time, Trump got to talk. He got to act like a normal guy in a setting that was, let's say, friendly and comfortable. And he's getting views. An interview with comedian Theo Von has more than 13 million views on YouTube alone. And that's not including all the clips that have been posted on other platforms from that interview. But will this get Donald Trump back into the White House? This is Rodney Tavera, senior lecturer at the University of Sydney, and I spoke with him the other day. Rodney had just taught a class on this exact topic. Here's what he had to say.
So Donald Trump has been going on podcasts, on live streams, and getting interviewed in a long form by rather sympathetic hosts. So I think part of the reason he's going on there is that these hosts, unlike, say, mainstream media, are less combative towards him. So he is able to not only, make the points that he wants to make, but also not talk about politics and sort of present himself as someone that is relatable to the audiences. He gets to show a side of himself, or at least construct a side of himself that is outside of politics and outside of getting asked questions about policy, which may matter in a contemporary election. I'm not exactly sure. So when he goes on, I think his name is Bryson DeChambeau, who is a professional golfer, and he goes around, does some rounds of golf with him. They're listening to music in the golf cart. They're having a great time. It becomes really relatable. And so the kind of demonization that you might be receiving about Trump from other media sources, he gets to circumvent that. So he gets to access people he would otherwise not access, and in a way that is largely sympathetic. And because he is not getting directly questions as much, he's not as combative himself. And so he comes across as this kind of, it just seems like a nice rich uncle.
This is right. From what I saw, Donald Trump was getting asked a lot of softball questions. Here's an example from Donald Trump's interview with podcast host Lex Friedman, and it kind of reminded me of an old Simpsons gag. Take a look.
You said that you love winning, and you have won a lot in life. In real estate, in business, in TV, in politics. What drives you more? The love of winning or the hate of losing?
Mr. Burns, your campaign seems to have the momentum of a runaway freight train. Why are you so popular?
Very good.
But presidential candidates doing friendly interviews is nothing new. There's a long history of presidential candidates going on late-night talk shows. For example, here's Trump in 2016 on Jimmy Fallon. So is YouTube just a new home for this kind of campaigning?
There has been a recognition by politicians and people who are involved with political campaigns that they need to find people where they are viewing and absorbing media. And people's, kind of media habits have changed in the last 4 and 8 years. I think there are a lot more people who just simply, they don't watch television like they used to, or just like to watch television at all. It's headphones in, listening to podcasts, or it's streaming on YouTube or Kick or platforms like that. I think it's a continuation of what we have seen, and it's just the means by which you can target people has evolved and expanded. So the capacity for Donald Trump to go on a streaming platform that many people haven't even heard of, yet get 6 million people listening to it, that is indicative of something that has developed since 2020 and 2016.
So if you want to hear from the former president, YouTube is where you'll find him. Well, that's where he wants you to find him. Or at least that's where he wants a particular group of the voting population to find him. As polls are indicating, 2024 is panning out to be yet another close election, and the winner could be determined by the results of just a few battleground states. And that's probably why Trump is hoping this move on YouTube will garner support among one group, young men.
If you look at the different podcasts and streams that he's gone on, Logan Paul's podcast, Aiden Ross's Kick stream, these will be watched and listened to by young men in particular. I had asked students in a class of mine, and one of them was predominantly young women, and I asked them what did they think about Donald Trump going on podcasts. And these are politically engaged young people. They didn't even know that he went on podcasts. So he really is missing an important sector of the audience, maybe one that was never going to vote for him, but it's not really getting him out there as well as much as you'd think he'd want to. There are sort of suburban areas in the swing states that he needs to win, and a lot of his viewers will be in the suburbs watching him. So if he wants to reach those potential voters, it probably is a good way to do it. I mean, I don't know who has the time to watch hours and hours of live streams.
Me. I do. So are young men a reliable voter base to get out this election?
No, a young man reliable, like full stop, but here to sort of follow through to do something. So in the American context, you have to vote on a Tuesday. Presumably, if you've got a job, you've got other things to do maybe, are you necessarily going to vote? Does it change your engagement with that media world if you do or don't vote? I don't think it's necessarily a particularly strong call to action, but if there is some kind of community built where you get the sense that other people like you are going to do it, then I think that can translate into actual action in the real world, that place where voting happens.
So if you're a man in your early 20s and it's the first time you can vote, seeing someone like Logan Paul with the former US president might motivate you to actually get out and vote. But it isn't just Trump moving away from traditional media interviews. His opponent, Kamala Harris, has been criticised, mostly by Trump and his allies, for not fronting the media enough. Instead, Harris can be found at rallies, speaking at events, and doing this on TikTok.
Before we start, just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kamala Harris.
Welcome to Trackstar. If you can name the artist, you win $5.
Yes, I think there has been a move away from traditional media, but it is not one that puts her front and center to be interviewed. It's this kind of meme campaign where they are glomming onto whatever is trending. So a big favor that Charlie XCX did for the campaign was just to simply say Kamala is brat. And so then they just run with the whole green aesthetic, and that gives them a week or two of campaigning. And you don't actually need to talk to Harris in order for that campaigning to work. Whereas someone like Donald Trump, as funny as it might sound, him talking is the great value that his campaign has. It's what kind of energizes people.
So this strategy seems pretty appealing for both candidates. They get to talk, come off as personable, and they get millions of people listening. And they don't need to discuss policy or how they'd run the country. But if you're a first-time voter in your early 20s tuning into one of these podcasts, here's something you might want to keep in mind.
These streamers have no adherence or responsibilities or traditional responsibilities that a journalist such as yourself, right, would have. There's no kind of need or desire even for objectivity to push back against claims that might not have a basis in reality. So their whole thing is to get people to watch them. So that's the bottom line. That's all they need to do. And getting the former president on your show, that's going to get a lot of people watching you. I mean, he gets to make his claims about the border and about the state of the economy when he was the president, just make any kind of claims that he wants. And then there's not questioned at all. So kind of very famously on the Theo Von podcast, he said, the economy was the greatest it's ever been under me. And Theo Von just said, yeah, my cousin bought a boat.
We had a great time. We had the greatest economy in history when I was president. We had
my cousin got a boat.
Numbers. Yeah, we had the best job numbers.
No question where the numbers come from, right? Just going to make a gag about it. So the disservice there to listeners might be, Trump being able to make claims without them being tested in any way.
So in these interviews, Trump and Harris can kind of make whatever claims they want, and they'll mostly go unchallenged, like Trump talking about his record on the economy, which fact-check website PolitiFact has reported as false, unless of course your metric for success is the cousin-to-boat ratio. Now contrast this with the ABC's presidential debate. Here, Trump was pulled up multiple times by the moderators. Take a look.
Her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month.
is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
I think a danger to Donald Trump's campaign being so focused on the kind of online sphere is, well, what happens when it crosses over into, like, quote unquote, the real world? Like, there is a difference between what happens online and what, like, regular normie culture looks and sounds like.
There was also a crossover moment where Trump got asked about this clip from his interview with Lex Friedman.
I was told if I got 63 million, which is what I got the first time, you would win. You can't not win. And I got millions of more votes than that and lost by a whisker.
In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
But
You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically.
So when you go onto a traditional media platform and say during the presidential debate, and you say they're eating cats and they're eating dogs and they're eating other pets, you sound crazy. Even if people are eating cats and dogs, which they are not, even if they were, you would still sound crazy in that format. It makes sense in online spaces where people are posting clips of what they purport to be immigrants eating pets, and even though it's not real, like really happening, it makes sense in that type of discourse. When you start telling that to regular people, it backfires, I think.
So the Trump campaign might be sold on reaching young men through YouTube. But the question remains, is that going to be enough to win the election? An estimated 8 million young Americans are eligible to vote for the first time this year. Research shows that this generation is voting at higher rates than previous generations did when they were the same age. It's clear both candidates are trying to appeal to young voters, but there's only one way to know for sure that their tactics have worked. Stay tuned for the results in November.